Yeah, I have been wanting to make lasagna soup all week, really. I took the ground meat out, I believe it was Tuesday night, and it was my intent to make it Wednesday, but it was still not thawed out, and I did not, no, I'm sorry, I took it out Wednesday. It was my intent to make it on Thursday, but the meat was not thawed out. Yesterday, I went to get my son, so I did not make it. And tonight, I was like, I am going to cook this lasagna soup, even though I really don't have any intentions on eating any tonight. And the other reason is because my son can take some back to college with him tomorrow if he wants to. And the flavors can settle overnight. I did not have regular onion, so I used shallot. Also, I don't have any ricotta, and so we're going to wing it without the ricotta. It will be okay. Sometimes the best meals come from those where you have to improvise, so that's what it's going to be, because we're not going back out. We have literally been out all day today, and we're not going back out. So it's going to be what it will be with this. So right now, what you see me doing is I am sweating these shallots down. So yep. Okay, I am adding a little bit of roasted garlic. I have regular garlic, but to be honest with you, I've waited till the last minute, and I don't feel like chopping it up. So roasted garlic will be it, and I'll let that cook for just a minute or so. I'm gonna add the ground meat. I have on a glove because I do not like touching meat. I really don't want it on my hands. So I'm gonna let it cook down. Okay, so I've moved the meat around a little bit to let it brown. I don't want to over manipulate the meat and have it all tough. So I'm just gonna wait for that to brown a little bit more, and then I will get a paper towel to absorb some of the oil. That's the other thing. I typically do not buy ground beef. I'm not sure why I purchased ground beef this time, but that's not something I typically buy. I typically purchase ground turkey only. But yeah, we're not going to waste any food around here, so I want to go ahead and cook it. And it has more oil in it than what I'm used to. So anyway, once it finished browning a little bit more, then we're going to drain some of the oil off and pour the pasta sauce in it and get it seasoned and all that. So I'm going to put this in here, absorb some of this oil. I think this is another reason why I don't really I know you can get leaner cuts, but to be honest, I don't know what. Knowing me, I was probably looking at a recipe on TikTok or something. Let's see, that's a lot of oil. So let's absorb some of that oil. And I moved my cutting board over here because I'm one of those too that I don't like my kitchen a mess when I'm cooking, and I don't like using up a whole bunch of dishes when I don't have to. Okay. So I think we've gotten most of the oil out. So yeah, should be okay. Now let's get this meat seasoned. When I tell you I'm keeping it simple, I'm keeping it simple. I'm going to use a little bit of Lawry's garlic salt, and not a lot because I'm not heavy on the salt. I like my food to be seasoned but not salty, so about that much. I have some Mrs. Dash onion and herb. And then keep in mind that pasta sauces, especially since I'm not using a homemade pasta sauce, a lot of times pasta sauce have a lot of sodium in them. Has a lot of sodium in it. My words are just terrible. And so, did I show you guys what this is? It's onion powder. A little bit of onion powder. Well, a lot of onion powder. And some Italian seasoning. Yep. So we're not gonna overdo it. I'm gonna put some crushed red pepper flakes in it, but I'll do that a little bit later. And I'm sure I'll have to season a little bit more, but I'm not gonna add a lot more because I still have to add the liquids. But again, I don't want it to be over seasoned and salty. So yeah. So let's get the pasta sauce and get that added. I like Rayo's pasta sauce. I don't have any. So this is what we're using. We're using the Classico roasted garlic. If I can get it open. Okay. And it is open. I didn't get it all out of there, but it's okay because when I go put the liquid in, I will get it all. I'll pour the broth in there to get it all out. So I'm gonna let the pasta sauce cook in there for just a minute to kind of get a little bit of that tomatoey taste out per se. And then I will add, normally I would add chicken broth, but this time I'm going to add beef broth since I used beef. But like I said, usually I'm using ground turkey, so I'll do the chicken broth. But since I have beef this time, I'm going to add beef broth. I know there's a huge debate about adding sugar to pasta sauces, but I am, because I think it helps with the acidity. But this is a teaspoon, and I'm adding about that much, which is hardly anything. So anyway, and I'm using bone broth. I don't have chicken broth, but it's beef bone broth. That's what I'm using because that's what I have. Again, this is not how I would typically make this, but I have learned to use what I have on stock. You don't always have to run to the store. And I've said it before. Said it already tonight. Some of the best meals come out of improvising with what you have. Let's start with this. Uh-oh, I can't even get the top on. Just trying to get everything out of this jar. So I'm gonna need to add just a little bit more so it will be enough liquid up in here for the lasagna noodles when they're added. So I'm gonna let this cook down a little bit, and then I'll add the heavy cream and the lasagna noodles. But like I said, because I added that broth, and again, I'm not over seasoning my food. I don't want to over season it because the pasta sauce has sodium in it. The bone broth has sodium in it. It is not a low sodium bone broth, so, but it does, on the plus side, it has 10 grams of protein in it, which it's not going to be quite as much in here because I didn't use the entire container. So pretty much this is the only salt content that I have in it. You know, use whatever seasonings you want. Again, I am improvising, and based upon my health, I'm not in terrible health, but I can definitely do better. I am not loading up on sodium, and I don't want my son to start loading up on sodium. I use the exact same seasoning, the salt-free Miss Dash garlic and herb, Italian seasonings, and onion powder, the exact same seasonings that I put in the meat. I put a little bit more, like I said, because I added the liquid, even though it has some sodium in it. I want it to have a little bit of flavor. So I'm gonna let these flavors marinate for about 10 or 15 minutes, and then I will come back, add the heavy whipping cream and the lasagna noodles. All right, so this has been boiling for about 15 or 20 minutes. And of course, some heavy whipping cream in there. Not that much. I'm gonna put a little bit of crushed red pepper, not a lot. Don't want it too spicy, but just a little bit of the kick. Actually, I'm gonna put just a tad bit more. Not too much, but just a tad bit more. Okay, there we go. And give me just 1 minute to put on some gloves, and then I'll break the lasagna noodles up in it. Okay, so now I'm gonna break up the lasagna noodles. And just in case you guys didn't know, I don't like touching food a lot, especially if it's food that I'm serving to others. Yes, I'm aware of when we go to a restaurant what they might be doing. However, here at home, I have control of not manipulating food with my bare hands, especially food that will be served to others. I wash my hands frequently, however, I still don't want to manipulate other people's food a lot because we have germs all over, really. And as much as we think we wash our hands and stuff well, a lot of time we don't get in those cracks and crevices like we should. And when I say we, I mean all of us, including me. I do my best to wash them as best as possible. But I remember when I was still active duty military, we had this one particular exercise where they had us washing our hands, and then they had a infection control person to examine our hands under blue lights to show how a lot of times we do not wash our hands long enough or properly, or the spots that we miss. So just keep that thought in mind. No matter how much you think you've washed your hands well, 9 times out of 10 you've missed a few spots. So with that being said, enough of that. You get the point. So I think that is more than enough noodles in there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the top back on the pot, and I will let it cook until the noodles are done. And I have it on medium low. I don't really have the stove up all that high at all. So I'll come back when it's done. Another thing I am big with is cleaning as I go. I was primarily raised by my southern grandmother, who was a very, very clean woman, and she absolutely believed in keeping your space clean as you cook. She would always tell us no one wants to eat in a dirty kitchen and from a dirty stove, and she was absolutely correct. I find myself, if I go certain places and stuff, or to certain people's houses, I tend to sometimes cringe, or when you have to make up those stories. Oh, I'm not hungry, but thank you anyway. And within your heart of hearts that you are starving, and you can probably eat a whole cow at that time. But because of the way in which they keep their kitchen or their home, you respectfully decline. So, anyway. So clearly I wasn't prepared for the dish that I told you I've been wanting to cook. Because guess what? I thought I had mozzarella and Parmesan cheese. I don't. But that's okay too. We're going to wing it with, we're going to add some of this cheddar blend. I don't want to add too much cheese in it, because again, cheese can be a bit salty too. And because I've layered the seasonings, again, I didn't add a lot of salt, but I prefer to add more cheese as you warm it up. But I mean, yeah, I think it's gonna be good. The noodles are almost done. I'm gonna let it sit for probably another 7 to 8 minutes with the top on down low like it is now, and it will be done. It is super late here, but I was determined to get this cooked because also, like I said, I want the flavors to sit, and therefore if my son wanted to take some back to college with him, he can. But anyway, for all intents and purposes, this meal is done. I hope you enjoyed my little impromptu cooking and that you will come back again. Please subscribe, like, comment, and share. I would greatly appreciate it. I'm new to content creation. I'm trying to build my following, and I'm not exactly sure what my channel is going to totally be about yet, but we'll see. Anyway, have a wonderful evening.